Hi guys, Rhonda without an H here with you again today. In my Facebook group, we are doing a swap of Dotee dolls. For those of you that are not familiar with a Dotee doll, don't feel alone. I was not familiar with it either until it was mentioned to me by one of our members. So I looked it up and looked on YouTube and looked on Pinterest and on the internet to find out what I could about a Dotee doll. And what I found, and if this is not correct, someone please type underneath and let me know what the correct version is, and I will update. But I understand it was created from a woman in Australia named Dorothy, and was called Dot, or Dottie perhaps, and she made these little dolls without arms, without legs, but with a hanger, something on the top to hang, and then a beaded, like a tail, kind of at the bottom, and stuffed them. They were, I understand, normally from between 4 and 6 inches in length. And that's mostly what I was able to gather, but that she gave them out for kind of a cheer kind of a thing for those that were having difficulties or in the hospital or whatever. So anyway, we are doing a swap with Dotee dolls, and our version, I suppose. And so I thought it would be kind of fun to show you my process as I am creating my Dotee doll. So what you need a little bit of fabric. You need some stuffing, wadding, batting, whatever you call it, where you're from. You need to be able to use embroidery thread, beading, embellishment kinds of things, and needle and thread. You can paint your face if you would like, and you have to be able to stitch the doll up either by hand or by sewing machine. So there's a bit of handwork on it. So for those of you that enjoy embroidery or beading, it is kind of a fun project to do. Okay, so let me show you what I have done so far. All right, let me take my needle out. And by the way, I'm not a beader. I am no good at it. I mean, I I know many are, but that is not my talent. So I have been struggling, even trying to find a needle that I could put these little tiny beads through. But as you can see, I have this piece of fabric. What I did was I took a pretty piece, color that I like, and that's not how I did it. I did it this way. Let's see, so you can see this. There we go. There, now you can see that. And I just cut me out a kind of a shape. There was no rhyme or reason to it. I just cut out a shape. I left it, mine has about, this is about 2.5 inches wide at the top and the bottom. And I sort of just made a, I don't know, anyway, curved out and then in again. And I did not cut the fold. And as you progress with me, I'll show you why I don't do that. Okay, so you cut your fabric in whatever shape you want to. And like I said, Dotee dolls are normally, or said to be approximately 4 to 6 inch little doll. And this looks like 5 inches from here to here on my doll and about 3.5 inches wide, and 2.5 and 2.5 here. We'll see how that goes, because this will be taken in somewhat when I make my seams on both sides, so the doll won't be that wide. And then of course it will have some batting in it. Okay, now let me show you what I did to do my face. So I apologize, guys. I'm all over the map today. Please forgive me. To do the face, that's also a part of a Dotee doll, is a little round face that you put on, that you stitch on. And I chose to do mine this way. I stitched through the single layer. I decided where I would like it, and so I put it there. I attached a little bit with the glue stick on a nice white fabric. Of course, some people use felt. People do it all different ways. This is just how I'm doing mine. Okay? So the way I got my face was, I have a 2-inch paper punch, but if you don't have one, you can also use, you can draw around on a piece of paper. You can draw and cut a circle. I wanted to use a kind of like a master, so this is a little bit of cardstock. Okay, so now I have a circle that I can use as my pattern. And then what I did is I have a little bit of freezer paper. For those of you that aren't familiar with freezer paper, it's something that here in the States you can buy in the grocery store, in with where the bags and lunch sacks and all that kind of thing are located. It's not terribly expensive, and one roll will last forever, really. Quilters, we use it in applique and whatnot. It's kind of shiny on one side, and so it has sticking properties. If I don't know if you can see the shine side versus the flat, but if I trace a pattern onto the flat side, and then I take this and iron it, press it down. Let's see, let me grab a piece of fabric. Then I have a pattern, and it stabilizes it. It gives it some strength. And then I cut with my scissors, and then I remove the paper, and I can then put my fabric with the glue stick. Okay, just daub it down just a little bit to hold it in place while I either hand stitch around my face, or I can, as I did on my machine, I stitched around with my sewing machine. And this is one, if you want to have this stand out, then you might want to use a different color thread. I blended mine in, but you can certainly do like the purple or black or green or whatever you fancy to get your little face put on. Now, before I did that, I went ahead a little bit. Let's back up again. Okay, so I've got my pattern, and I am just going to trace. You know what? That's a small little piece. Let's cut a little bigger section off. Okay. Get that out of the way. All right. So then I'm just going to trace with a pencil around. Okay. And then I am going to my fabric, and as you can see, I've got some pretty embroidery on this. This is an old junk linen that I found at a thrift store that I've been cutting up and using. And I will use this in one of my journals because it's beautiful. And I just love the feel of old linens. But you can use any material that you prefer. So I'm just going to take a corner of this and I will press it down, and then I will be back. All right. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and ironed this. As you can see, because of that shiny part on the back, it's really a kind of a plastic coating, but it'll peel off easily too. So then I will, first of all, do kind of an outline, and I'll put this back in my pile of pretties to add to a pretty journal. So I will cut around, and I am cutting just a little bit inside the line because I want to make the face just a little bit smaller. And we just go around and around. I have to tell you, you guys, it has been a crazy several weeks here in our home. My hubby has had some really bad back issues, and he's going to have back surgery. And so my whole schedule has had to be rearranged, and he's not able to work, and it's just like, ah! So that's partly why I've not been able to chat with you and do some of my videos. But we will get through this. He will have his surgery. He will be fabulous. We'll recover. And by the way, I make a really good nurse. Okay, so we've cut this out. Now, you have some options that you can think about how you want to do your face. You can draw with a pencil, which is what I did on this. I just drew my outline and thought, just kind of drew a face on. And then I took a dark marking pen, thin, and outlined while this paper was on. It stiffens your cotton or your whatever it is that you're using. It makes it easier to draw or paint a face, draw a face, and then you can go over it with paint or markers, or you can embroider, however you want to do. That's why it's kind of hard to show you, like, do this, do that, because it's so individual. So I'm just giving you the basics. Okay, so then what I did was after I have the face painted, drawn, embroidered, whatever I've done. By the way, if I'm embroidering, one of two things. I would not have cut the circle out yet. I would draw my face, and I would leave a bit around so that I could put this in a small hoop. And then I would do my hand embroidery work, and then I would go ahead and press it down again and, reestablish. I would take the paper off when I put it in the hoop after I had the face drawn on. I would draw the face, take the paper off, put it in a hoop, do my face, the hand embroidery. Then I would take it out of the hoop. I would get my paper again, and I would reapply the circle, find where the circle is and line them up, and I would reapply that and to secure the fabric to the paper again, and then I would cut my circle. I hope that makes sense to those of you, because if I don't, and I do the embroidery through the paper, then I'm either going to have to leave the paper on, or I'll have a real mess here, because I'll have hand embroidery floss. And so anyway, you get the idea. Those of you that are going to make these Dottie dolls, you kind of understand what I said because you do that kind of thing. All right. So that's what I did. I used a little bit of a glue stick just on the back, tacked it down, and then stitched around like I mentioned to you earlier. And then I got a needle and thread, and I am learning as I am beading this little puppy. Beading needles are long and skinny, whereas quilting needles and regular sewing needles, they are skinny at the top and then they taper and they get just a little bit fatter where the eye is that you thread, where you thread the needle, where you put your thread through. And if you get it too fat here, it won't go through these tiny little beads. So, but I'm not a beader, so I can't give you beading lessons. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm at with that project. So I will, when I continue and do some more, I will let you know, and we'll continue. I'm probably going to cut a lot of this out. Okay, I am back, and as you can see, I have finished my little Dottie doll. Let's see. I didn't take pictures of all of the process like I was supposed to. I apologize. I just get involved in doing and then I forget. But let me bring this up close so you can see. In addition to going around the face, I know I did talk to you about that. And I have the body here, and I have with embroidery thread, I have stitched the outline of some of my work here, some of the floral that was on the print. I've done this in green, and these two, they're not petunias, pansies. Okay. And I've done some around here on the back as well. I have also put beads at the centers of my little pansies, and I added a little skirt with a ruffle and a ruffle, some bling. You can see I have, let me show you the bottom of this. Remember when I said that I wasn't going to cut it here? And I didn't. Instead, I just pushed the needle through, tied a knot in the end, and pushed it through and was able to thread my beads that way so they're nice and secure. I mean, you don't have to do it that way, but that's how I did mine. And then you can see she's got lots of crazy yellow hair. It was fun to do, though. You just, I just hand sew. Just take a few of the yarn, the bits of yarn. They were about, 2-3 inches. And I would take a little grouping of 4 or 5, and I'd lay it down in a spot. And then I would, with my thread, I would go under and over and under and over a couple of times, pull it taut, and that would secure some of her hair down. So I started at the top and then kind of worked my way down. And I have added, as you can see, this cute little bow to match her dress. And then the last thing that I did was to make this hanger so that she can be hung up. This was just a fun little project, you guys. So now I can honestly say I have made a Dottie doll. Thank you for joining me. I hope this gives you some ideas. And happy creating, everybody. Until next time, bye now.